The latest word we have from the White House is that President Trump is in good spirits and has mild symptoms of COVID-19. They say sending the president to the hospital was just a precaution and that he will be able to work while he's there. On Friday, Trump missed a conference call on COVID-19. The Vice President Pence, who has tested negative, stepped in for him.
Now, First Lady Melania Trump is remaining at the White House in isolation, also, we are told, with mild symptoms. Officials saying their son Barron so far has not tested positive. In addition to the president, his wife, and the president's counselor, Hope Hicks, former Trump advisor Kellyanne Conway says she has tested positive, and at least one junior West Wing employee has also tested positive. So far, no cabinet members have reported any infections.
Until his diagnosis, the president's schedule had been full of campaign events. An ABC News review of his recent public calendar shows him face-to-face with reporters, side by side with Gold Star families, and hobnobbing with donors. The crowds frequently without masks and not keeping their distance. ABC's Cecilia Vega is outside Walter Reed this morning with the very latest. Cecilia, good morning.
Hey, Whit, good morning to you. President Trump's doctor said overnight that he is here resting comfortably, but make no mistake, this is an earth-shattering development just 31 days out before Election Day. The president is here now in this hospital for the unforeseeable future as the number of positive cases in his inner circle has grown from his campaign manager overnight to his former aide, Kellyanne Conway. This morning, President Trump waking up at Walter Reed Medical Center, crowds swarming as Marine One touched down. White House doctors recommending he remain hospitalized for the next few days, quote, out of an abundance of caution, after his COVID symptoms worsened on Friday. Sources say he's experiencing all the hallmark symptoms: fever, cough, fatigue, and chills. But overnight, President Trump tweeting, "Going well, I think. Thank you to all. Love." The White House doctor says the president has already received his first dose of an experimental antibody cocktail and is being monitored by a team of experts, adding that Trump has not required any supplemental oxygen and is resting comfortably. The president also started his first dose of remdesivir, the FDA-authorized antiviral drug. Just 31 days to go until Election Day. It is not the image anyone in the administration saw coming. President Trump exiting the White House wearing a mask during his walk to Marine One. His doctor on board, the 74-year-old president headed to Walter Reed. And before he left, the president filming this brief video he released on Twitter.
I'm going to Walter Reed Hospital. I think I'm doing very well, but we're going to make sure that things work out. The First Lady is doing very well. So thank you very much.
The White House doctor says the president will be treated with an experimental antibody cocktail and monitored by a team of experts. But this morning, the big question: how did the commander-in-chief become exposed in the first place? His son, Don Jr., didn't have an answer.
So, if he can get it, probably anyone can, for better or worse. But, I know they took really extensive protocols and it didn't seem to matter.
Now, all eyes on Saturday's Rose Garden announcement of the president's Supreme Court pick, Amy Coney Barrett. The event packed, guests shoulder to shoulder, some hugging, few, if any, wearing masks. Now 7 people in attendance confirmed positive, including one of the president's closest confidants, former aide Kellyanne Conway, tweeting overnight, "My symptoms are mild, light cough, and I'm feeling fine. I have begun a quarantine process in consultation with physicians." Also, North Carolina Senator Tom Tillis and Utah Senator Mike Lee, Notre Dame University President Father John Jenkins. 5 days later, one of the president's closest aides, Hope Hicks, testing positive. ABC's Jordan Phelps was traveling with the president on Air Force One with Hicks the day Hicks began experiencing symptoms.
It was striking because at the time she was wearing a mask. It was striking because Hope Hicks never wears a mask.
And yet, despite close and prolonged contact with Hicks, knowing she'd been infected, President Trump still went ahead with a fundraiser at his New Jersey golf club anyway. The White House dodging questions.
He was in Marine One, small space, Air Force One, and that fundraiser. Who made that assessment?
White House operations made the assessment it was safe for the president in consultation with others. Thank you guys so much.
While New Jersey's governor issued this blunt warning to the 100 supporters in attendance.
Self-quarantine, everybody. Take yourself off the field.
Ultimately, the president and first lady testing positive, and the list of infected people around them growing too, now including the Republican Party chair and at least 3 White House journalists, as well as Trump campaign manager Bill Stepien, who was with the president for this week's debate.
Or I put a mask on, when I think I need it.
And now on the White House grounds, a new shift. Aides like the press secretary and chief of staff, rarely seen in masks before, now donning them as the president made his way to Walter Reed.
Now, we want to repeat, and because it is important, Vice President Mike Pence has tested negative. You mentioned that he led that coronavirus task force call. It's important because if the president's conditions worsen, the vice president, of course, could be called on to perform the duties of the president while the president is in the hospital. But the White House is focusing and insisting this morning that that has not happened. Eva, they say the president remains fully in charge. There has been no transfer of government.
And Cecilia, let's go back to that Supreme Court nominee, the process of that. Will this affect that process for Amy Coney Barrett?
Well, what we do know, Eva, is that it certainly complicates it. Now, Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell, he says he wants to move ahead, full steam ahead, in fact, but Democrats are really trying to delay this right now, especially given, as we just said in our piece, that 2 members of the Senate Judiciary Committee have now tested positive for the virus as a result of being in that Rose Garden event last Saturday. But, the Democrats at this point, Eva, they don't have the votes to block this, even though they are trying to stop it and delay it at this point.
All right, Cecilia Vega for us there at Walter Reed.
Well, hey there, GMA fans. Robin Roberts here. Thanks for checking out our YouTube channel. Lots of great stuff here. So go on, click the subscribe button right over here to get more of awesome videos and content from GMA every day, anytime. We thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the morning on GMA.